The best nutrition tips for seniors living alone: red apple green salad. As we age, it becomes increasingly important to maintain a balanced and healthy diet. Especially when living alone, a nutritious diet helps to boost energy, improve mood, and keep you strong and independent. Biceps glowing star. Here are some helpful tips for seniors living alone to ensure they get the nutrients they need. Eat a variety of foods. Curry rice. Make sure your meals include a variety of proteins, vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. It's not only about what you eat, but also making sure you're getting all the essential vitamins and minerals. Stay hydrated. Droplet. Drink plenty of water throughout the day to stay hydrated. Dehydration can cause fatigue and confusion, so it's vital to drink even if you don't feel thirsty. Go for smaller, more frequent meals. 3 o'clock. Eating smaller meals more often can help improve digestion and ensure you're getting enough nutrients throughout the day. Incorporate foods that support bone health. Bone foods rich in calcium and vitamin D like dairy, leafy greens, and fortified foods are great for maintaining bone strength. Limit processed foods. Prohibited fries. Try to limit high sodium and high sugar foods that can increase the risk of chronic health issues such as high blood pressure and diabetes. Remember, eating well is a key part of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Health worker. If you or a loved one need more guidance, check out my latest video for more in-depth tips. Movie camera. Right finger. Click the YouTube link in the comments below for more detailed advice on senior nutrition. PC. 1. Your own emergency backup. As we grow older, living alone can become both a source of independence and a significant challenge, especially when it comes to our health. The reality is that when you're on your own, no one is around to notice if something goes wrong. There's no one to check in on you regularly, no one to observe if you're feeling unwell, and sometimes, no one even knows if an emergency has occurred until it's too late. Emergencies can strike at any moment, and without preparation, they can quickly turn from minor issues into life-threatening situations. I've witnessed the importance of preparation firsthand in my work as a doctor. Over the years, I've seen numerous cases where timely medical intervention saved lives, cases where, if the patient had been left alone any longer, the outcome could have been tragic. One of the most striking examples was a woman in her 70s who suffered a serious fall at home. She had no way to call for help, and no one was around to hear her cries. It wasn't until hours later, when her daughter came to visit, that she was found. Thankfully, she was still conscious, but she was in severe pain and disoriented. This delay in medical attention led to a longer recovery time and a higher risk of complications. If she had been able to call for help right away, the outcome might have been very different. This is where the importance of emergency preparedness becomes clear. In today's world, we have access to technologies that can make a huge difference in keeping us safe. Even when we're alone, devices like medical alert systems, wearables that track heart rate or detect falls, and smart home technologies can be life-saving. These devices can send immediate alerts to family members or emergency responders, ensuring that help is on the way as soon as it's needed. I've seen many cases where these simple precautions have made the difference between a close call and a disaster. For instance, a man in his 80s who had suffered a stroke was wearing a medical alert bracelet. When the stroke occurred, the device automatically contacted emergency services. His daughter, who lived several hours away, was notified instantly. Within minutes, paramedics arrived and rushed him to the hospital. He received immediate care, and his recovery was much faster and smoother than it would have been had he been left alone without any way to signal for help. I cannot stress enough how vital it is to take proactive steps when it comes to your health. Especially if you live alone. It's easy to dismiss the need for precautions when you're feeling well. But as the stories I've shared highlight, emergencies can happen when you least expect them. Having a system in place, whether it's a wearable device, a smart home system, or simply ensuring that someone knows your whereabouts and schedule, can be the difference between life and death. It's about giving yourself the best chance to be prepared for whatever life throws your way. 2. Loneliness can be a struggle, even for introverts. When we think of loneliness, we often imagine people who are extroverted and thrive on constant social interaction. We picture those who crave the company of others, who find fulfillment in regular gatherings and group activities. But the reality is that loneliness can affect everyone, even those who are more introverted and find comfort in solitude. While introverts may prefer quiet time alone, It doesn't mean they're immune to the emotional and psychological toll that isolation can bring. As people age, loneliness can become an even greater challenge. I've seen many cases of older individuals who, despite being naturally introverted, began feeling the weight of isolation after friends and family moved away or became preoccupied with their own lives. Initially, they may have embraced the peace and quiet that comes with solitude. But over time, the absence of casual interactions, the kind of small conversations we often take for granted, can begin to wear on their emotional well-being. It's easy to assume that introverts will be fine on their own. But even they can feel disconnected and long for some form of companionship. One story that stands out in my mind is that of an elderly man in his 80s, who had always been content with spending time alone. He loved reading, gardening, and walking in the park. For years, he was happy in his solitude. But as his close friends moved away and his children became busy with their own lives, he began to feel the sting of isolation. Despite thriving on solitude, he started to crave casual interaction, someone to chat with while walking in the neighborhood, or even a brief conversation at the local grocery store. It was a subtle change at first, but it became more pronounced as time went on. The loneliness started to affect his mood, and he realized that while he enjoyed his quiet time, he still needed connection. This is when he decided to adopt a pet. He chose a cat, and the change in his life was remarkable. The companionship of his new pet didn't replace human connection, but it provided him with a sense of purpose and routine. Caring for his cat, feeding it, and enjoying its quiet company made him feel less alone. It was a small change, but it had a profound impact on his emotional well-being. He found that even introverts, who are often self-sufficient and content in their own company, need some form of connection, whether it's through a pet, a regular phone call, or even a brief exchange with a neighbor. The lesson here is that while isolation may be inevitable for some, it doesn't have to lead to emotional hardship. It's important to build a routine that allows for some form of interaction. Even if it's minimal, a pet can offer companionship, but regular communication with friends, family, or neighbors can make a huge difference. For those who live alone, whether introverted or not, maintaining a connection to others, even in small, manageable ways, can greatly improve their quality of life and mental health. 3. Home maintenance becomes overwhelming. As we age, many of the household tasks we once managed without a second thought can become increasingly difficult. Tasks that were once routine, like cleaning, lawn care, or repairing a leaky faucet, can quickly feel overwhelming. The physical demands of maintaining a home take a toll on the body, and what once seemed like a simple chore can now seem like an insurmountable task. As a result, many older individuals find themselves having to make difficult choices, often letting things slide simply because they no longer have the energy or strength to deal with them. I've seen this struggle in many of my patients. One elderly woman I treated in her 70s had always taken great pride in keeping her house neat and tidy. However, as the years went on, she found herself unable to keep up with even the most basic tasks. The stairs in her home became a challenge, and bending over to clean the floors or reach high shelves was becoming increasingly difficult. She felt frustrated, even ashamed, that she couldn't do the things she used to do with ease. As a result, she started to let the housework slip, and before long, her home began to feel cluttered and unkempt. Another example is of a gentleman in his 80s who struggled with yard work. Once a man who loved to tend to his garden, he found that even mowing the lawn or trimming the hedges was becoming too physically demanding. At first, he thought he could manage by slowing down, but the tasks only piled up. Over time, he started feeling the pressure and guilt of neglecting the yard. Eventually, he made the difficult decision to stop taking care of it altogether, leaving the work for a later time. This is a situation many older adults face. They put off necessary tasks and feel overwhelmed by the simple idea of maintaining their home. As someone who has studied the physical demands of aging, I can tell you that these struggles are not uncommon, and they're not a reflection of laziness or lack of care. Aging brings with it changes that affect both our physical abilities and our energy levels. As our bodies age, we naturally lose some strength, flexibility, and endurance, making tasks that were once easy more difficult to perform. The key is to recognize these changes early and adjust accordingly. One piece of advice I often give is to keep a small, manageable list of home tasks. Prioritize what needs to be done, And don't hesitate to ask for help when necessary. If certain tasks, like lifting heavy objects, repairing appliances, or even basic cleaning, become too much, consider reaching out for professional assistance. There are many services available that cater to older adults, from home maintenance professionals to cleaning services, who can help take the burden off your shoulders. Hiring help doesn't mean you're not capable. It means you're making a smart decision to ensure your home remains safe, comfortable, and well-maintained without overexerting yourself. Remember, home maintenance doesn't have to be a one-person job. It's okay to ask for help, and it's important to take the physical limitations that come with aging into consideration. By recognizing when to delegate tasks or seek assistance, you can maintain your home and preserve your well-being for many years to come. 4. Creating stability through daily routine. As we age, one of the most powerful tools for maintaining mental and emotional well-being is routine. When everything around you can feel uncertain, a daily routine offers a sense of control, stability, and structure. Living alone, especially in later years, can bring about moments of loneliness and disconnection. However, the simple act of creating a routine can be a way to bring order and meaning into each day, making it easier to navigate the challenges of solo living. I've seen how a consistent routine can make a world of difference in people's lives. One woman in her 70s, for example, had a particular morning habit that brought both joy and structure to her day. Every morning, without fail, she played the same song on her radio as she prepared breakfast. It wasn't a grand or elaborate ritual, but that song was a source of energy and positivity in her home. The familiar melody brought a sense of continuity to her mornings, and it became something she looked forward to every day. Over time, it became more than just a song. It was a moment of connection to herself and her environment. A small but powerful reminder that each day could hold some form of joy, even in solitude. Her story is a powerful example of how routines can be a crucial source of stability. Particularly for those living alone, it's easy to overlook how something as simple as a morning routine can have a profound impact. But when you're living on your own, these small rituals provide an important structure, giving your day direction and meaning. Routines don't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. In fact, the simplest habits can be the most grounding, whether it's starting the day with a song, making a cup of tea at a certain time, or taking a walk around the neighborhood. These practices create a sense of normalcy and predictability in what could otherwise feel like an unpredictable world. For many people, especially those who live alone, routines can offer more than just structure. They provide comfort and a sense of security. They are a way to maintain a connection to the world around you, even when it feels like much of the world has changed or become distant. Creating a routine doesn't mean living on autopilot. Instead, it's about setting yourself up for a day that feels meaningful, even when you're spending it alone. When we consider solo living, we often focus on the potential challenges, loneliness, isolation, and the need for assistance. However, what's often overlooked is the importance of having a daily rhythm, something that can help provide a sense of continuity. By creating a routine, you're not just filling the hours of the day, you're also giving yourself the opportunity to stay connected to what matters, fostering stability in an otherwise unpredictable world. 5. Cooking for one. Tricky yet rewarding. Cooking for oneself can be a tricky task, especially when you're used to the convenience of takeout or prepackaged meals. The idea of preparing a meal for one might seem overwhelming at first. After all, there's no need to make a large batch or deal with leftovers that might go to waste. However, once you get the hang of it, cooking for one can become a deeply fulfilling and rewarding experience, both for your health and your sense of accomplishment. I've seen this transformation in many of my patients, especially those who had relied on takeout or fast food for years. One woman in her 70s, for example, had always found it easier to pick up food on her way home, rather than take the time to cook. She often felt that cooking for one was a waste of time and effort, especially when she could simply have a pizza or takeout delivered. But after a few years of relying on takeout, she began to notice how her health was starting to suffer. She felt sluggish, and her energy levels were low. That's when she decided to give cooking a try. It wasn't easy at first. She started small, with simple recipes like vegetable stir-fries or homemade soups, but over time, she began to see the benefits. Not only did she feel better physically, but she also found a sense of joy in the process of cooking. What began as a necessity soon became a form of self-care, allowing her to enjoy nourishing meals that supported her well-being. The key to enjoying cooking for one is to make it simple and manageable. I often recommend batch cooking as a way to make the process less daunting. Preparing meals in larger portions and storing them for later not only saves time but also ensures that you always have a healthy meal ready when you need it. You don't need to cook every day. Instead, you can spend 1 or 2 days a week cooking in bulk, making things like soups, stews, or roasted vegetables that can last for several meals. This approach helps to avoid the temptation of takeout while also providing a sense of accomplishment when you see the meals you've prepared stored neatly in your fridge. Another tip is to approach cooking as an act of self-care. For many people, cooking can be a meditative process. Chopping vegetables, stirring ingredients, and watching a dish come together can be a calming and mindful activity. It's a way to nurture yourself physically and mentally, creating something that is not only satisfying to eat but also rewarding to make. By taking the time to prepare your own meals, you're showing yourself care and respect. This practice can have a positive impact on your mental well-being, offering a sense of control and connection to your body, especially when compared to the more passive act of eating takeout or frozen meals. While it may seem difficult at first, learning to cook for yourself can be one of the most rewarding skills you can develop. Not only does it improve your health, but it also boosts your confidence and gives you a deeper sense of connection to the food you eat. Over time, what might have started as a chore can turn into a gratifying, enjoyable part of your daily routine. 6. The quiet can be both a blessing and a curse. As we age, the experience of living alone often puts us in front of a tranquility that can feel both peaceful and disturbing. Silence, in its purest form, can be a gift, a space for reflection, relaxation, and personal growth. However, it can also be challenging, especially when the absence of noise becomes a reminder of loneliness or disconnection. Silence can amplify feelings of isolation, causing some people to struggle with the void it creates. While some people may appreciate loneliness, for others, the silence becomes overwhelming, leading to the need to find ways to fill the space. I've seen this dichotomy in many of the people I've worked with. For example, a woman in her 70s prefers a busy family with activity, laughter, and conversation. After her children moved, the house became quieter, and she found herself feeling more and more lonely. At first, silence is like a welcome holiday, an opportunity for you to combat the loneliness. She started filling the quiet with music and podcasts. Whether it was playing her favorite songs or listening to a podcast that explored topics of interest, the sound became a comforting presence in her home. It wasn't that she couldn't enjoy the silence, it was that she realized how much she needed to break it up with something that made her feel connected, even if it was just through the voices of others. The music, the podcasts, and even the ambient sounds of nature through her window helped create a balance between stillness and stimulation. Slowly, she found a rhythm where silence could coexist with sound, giving her a sense of peace without feeling isolated. As someone who understands the psychological impact of silence, I've come to believe that both extremes, complete silence and constant noise, can be difficult to navigate. Silence can be an opportunity for introspection and clarity, but it can also trigger feelings of loneliness and anxiety if it's left unchecked. The key is learning how to embrace quiet moments while also finding healthy ways to fill the space when necessary. It's about balance, recognizing when the silence is enriching and when it's time to introduce a bit of noise to restore a sense of connection. Some people find that having background noise, like soft music, the radio, or even the sounds of nature, helps keep them grounded. Others may prefer more structured ways of filling the silence, such as engaging in activities like reading, crafting, or even calling a friend or family member. The important thing is to listen to your own needs and find what works best for you. Embracing silence when it feels like a gift and finding ways to fill it with sound when it feels like a burden is an essential part of navigating solo living with mental well-being. 7. Staying physically active. As we age, maintaining physical activity can become more challenging, especially when living alone. It's easy to fall into a sedentary lifestyle when there's no one around to encourage you to get up and move. Without the structure of a daily routine or the motivation of social engagements, it's common for older adults to spend hours sitting in front of the TV, reading, or simply resting. While these activities are certainly enjoyable and necessary at times, They can lead to physical decline if they're not balanced with some form of movement. The body needs regular activity to maintain strength, flexibility, and overall health, but staying active when you're living alone can sometimes feel like a chore. I've seen this firsthand in many of the older adults I work with. One woman in her late 70s had always been active. She used to go for long walks, take yoga classes, and keep her home in top shape with regular cleaning and gardening. But after her husband passed away and her children moved away, she found herself spending more and more time sitting at home. Her physical activity dwindled, and she began to feel stiff and sluggish. She missed the energy she once had but didn't know where to start. She didn't want to return to the gym, and she felt embarrassed to go for walks in the neighborhood alone. But then, she decided to start small. She began by taking short walks around her house and doing stretches while watching her favorite TV show. Soon, she added in a daily gardening routine, which she had always loved but hadn't had the energy for in a while. Over time, she noticed improvements in her energy levels, and most importantly, her mood began to lift. What started as small steps grew into a regular routine of enjoyable activities that didn't feel like a forced workout. She wasn't focused on hitting a certain fitness goal, she was focused on doing what felt good for her body. Her story is a perfect example of how small changes can lead to big improvements. It doesn't take a gym membership or hours of intense exercise to stay physically active. The key is to focus on activities that are enjoyable and accessible. Like walking a dog, gardening, or even dancing in the living room. These activities don't feel like a chore because they integrate seamlessly into your daily life. For instance, walking the dog can be a leisurely stroll that also serves as an opportunity to enjoy nature. Clear your mind, and stay active without feeling the pressure of a structured exercise plan. As a health expert, I always recommend incorporating physical activity into your day in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. You don't need to push yourself to do something you don't like. Exercise should be something that enhances your well-being, not adds stress. So, whether it's taking the stairs instead of the elevator, enjoying a dance session to your favorite music, or even gardening for a few minutes each day, the most important thing is consistency. Small, simple activities will help keep your body strong, your mind sharp, and your mood elevated, all without feeling like you're ticking off a task on your to-do list. 8. Decluttering becomes both easier and harder. As we age, the process of decluttering can be both emotionally difficult and liberating. At first glance, the idea of removing possessions from our homes might seem like an easy task. After all, the more we simplify, the more we can enjoy the space around us. But for many older adults, the act of letting go of belongings can stir up a deep sense of attachment and loss. Over the years, items accumulate, each carrying memories, milestones, and emotional significance. The thought of parting with them can bring up feelings of guilt, sadness, and nostalgia. Despite these emotional hurdles, the act of decluttering can also offer a tremendous sense of relief and freedom once it's done. I've witnessed this complex experience many times with the seniors I work with. One woman in her 80s, for example, had spent decades filling her home with treasured possessions. Her house was full of mementos from her travels, family heirlooms, and items that held sentimental value. However, as she aged, the physical burden of keeping up with the clutter became overwhelming. She found it difficult to navigate through her home, and her once loved possessions became obstacles in her daily life. She was torn. She didn't want to lose the memories associated with these objects, but she also realized they were no longer serving her in the way they once had. With my guidance, we took small, manageable steps toward decluttering. We started by sorting through one room at a time, discussing each item and what it meant to her. It wasn't easy, but over time, she began to find the courage to let go of things that no longer aligned with her current needs. She kept the pieces that truly brought her joy or had a practical purpose in her life today, while gently releasing the items that no longer served her. By the end of the process, she felt a sense of relief, as though a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She could move freely through her space, and the act of letting go, while difficult, allowed her to create a home that truly reflected who she was now, not just who she had been. This experience is not uncommon. Many older adults find that their possessions no longer hold the same meaning or importance as they did in the past. The emotional burden of letting go is real, but so is the freedom that comes with making space for what truly matters. Decluttering doesn't have to happen all at once, nor does it require completely emptying out a home. It's a process, one that can be done gradually, with intention and care. Small, incremental steps are often the best approach. As a health professional, I often recommend slowly letting go of possessions as a way to create an environment that serves you now, rather than holding onto items out of obligation or nostalgia. A clutter-free space can reduce stress, improve mental clarity, and provide a sense of control over your surroundings. It's about creating a living environment that aligns with your current lifestyle and needs, allowing you to thrive. When done with intention, decluttering can be a healing experience, offering a fresh start and an opportunity to embrace the next phase of life with a lighter heart. 9. Social invitations might decrease, but you have to create your own fun. As we grow older, it's not uncommon for our social lives to dwindle. Friends and family members might move away, and the bustling social calendar we once enjoyed might become less filled. Invitations to gatherings become less frequent, and the prospect of engaging with others can start to feel distant. While this shift can be discouraging, it's important to remember that, even though the social landscape might change, you still have the power to create and maintain your own fun. Being proactive about staying connected and finding ways to engage with others is key to maintaining a vibrant social life. Even in later years, I've seen this firsthand with many of the older adults I work with. One woman, in her mid-70s, had always been active in her community, but after the passing of her husband and the move of her children to different states, she found herself feeling isolated. At first, she was disheartened by the lack of social invitations, and the thought of trying to meet new people seemed daunting. But rather than allowing the situation to leave her feeling disconnected, she took matters into her own hands. She started organizing a weekly neighborhood walk. Every Tuesday morning, she would invite neighbors to join her for a casual walk around the block. What started as a simple idea soon became a weekly tradition, with more and more neighbors participating. The walks not only helped her stay active but also brought together a group of people who had been feeling isolated in their own right. Through this simple activity, she created a sense of community and renewed her sense of connection to others. Another example is a gentleman I worked with who had been a social butterfly in his younger years but found it increasingly difficult to stay connected as he aged. Rather than waiting for invitations, he decided to start hosting small gatherings at his home. Every month, he would invite a few friends over for a potluck dinner, or they would gather for a movie night. Over time, these small gatherings became something everyone looked forward to, and it helped keep his social life vibrant and meaningful. Not only did he enjoy the time spent with others, but he also developed a renewed sense of purpose in hosting and organizing these events. As a doctor with experience in elderly care, I can't stress enough how important it is to take charge of your social life. Even when it feels like the world around you is slowing down, it's easy to feel like the best social years are behind you. But that doesn't have to be the case. Creating your own fun can be as simple as starting a hobby, joining a local club, or even taking up an interest you've always wanted to explore, like crafting or reading. Joining a book club, for example, can offer a chance to meet new people, share your thoughts, and engage in interesting discussions. Likewise, starting a knitting circle or art group in your community can help you form meaningful connections with others who share similar interests. The key is to be proactive in finding ways to stay connected and engaged. Even if your circle of friends or family has become smaller, you can still create opportunities to socialize and enjoy new experiences. Whether it's through organizing an activity, volunteering, or simply making the effort to invite others to join in your hobbies. Taking charge of your social life is an essential part of maintaining a healthy and fulfilling lifestyle. It's about creating your own support network, even if that network begins with small steps like a neighborhood walk or a crafting session with a few friends. 10. It's easy to neglect self-care, but it's more important than ever. When we live alone, it's easy to let self-care slide. The day-to-day demands of life can easily take over, and without the immediate support of others, it can become a challenge to prioritize ourselves. Whether it's skipping meals, neglecting exercise, or putting off sleep, these small oversights can quickly add up and impact both our physical and mental health. Over time, the absence of self-care can lead to increased stress, fatigue, and even a decline in overall well-being. Yet, Maintaining a daily routine of self-care becomes more vital as we age. It not only helps us stay physically healthy but also has a profound impact on our mental clarity, emotional stability, and overall happiness. I've witnessed the effects of neglecting self-care in many of the individuals I work with. One particular case stands out. A woman in her early 70s had always been an active, independent person. She had spent most of her life juggling a busy career and raising a family, always putting others' needs before her own. But as her children grew up and moved away, she found herself feeling increasingly isolated. Her once structured daily routine began to slip. She no longer cooked healthy meals for herself, and exercise became a distant memory. She spent most of her days sitting, watching TV, and allowing negative thoughts to take over. She didn't realize the toll this was taking on her body and mind until she started feeling physically exhausted and emotionally drained. This gradual decline prompted her to seek help. Together, we worked on reintroducing small acts of self-care into her routine. We started with manageable steps. She began preparing simple, nutritious meals for herself, taking short walks around her neighborhood, and establishing a bedtime routine to ensure she was getting adequate rest. Over time, these small changes had a significant impact. She began to feel more energized, and her mood noticeably lifted. By incorporating daily routines that prioritized her health, she found herself more motivated and reconnected to life. The mental fog she had been experiencing started to clear, and she regained a sense of purpose and joy in her daily activities. This case is just one example, but it underscores a crucial point. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We often assume that we'll take care of ourselves tomorrow or that self-care can wait. But when we neglect it, the consequences can become more difficult to manage. A simple daily routine that includes healthy eating, exercise, and restful sleep can make all the difference in how we feel and how we navigate the challenges of living alone. As a health professional, I always stress the importance of building a routine that works for you, one that includes physical activity, time for rest, and moments to nourish your body and mind. It's about creating a rhythm that supports both your physical and emotional health. Whether it's dedicating time each day to stretch, taking a walk in nature, or simply setting aside time for a hobby that brings you joy. These actions are more than just habits, they are vital steps toward maintaining balance and well-being. The key to self-care is consistency. Even small actions can have a profound impact when done regularly. Self-care isn't just about pampering yourself, it's about respecting your body and mind, giving them the attention they deserve, and recognizing that you deserve to feel good every day. Living alone as you age, a chance for freedom and growth. Living alone as you age is a profound experience, one that comes with both challenges and opportunities for growth. As you enter this phase of life, there are moments that will test your resilience, your mindfulness, and your ability to care for yourself. The quiet can sometimes feel overwhelming, and the absence of the daily routines and interactions you once had can bring about feelings of isolation. However, it is also an opportunity, a chance to experience the freedom of making decisions solely for yourself and to discover new aspects of who you are. As you navigate living alone, it's important to remember that this time in your life can be about more than just solitude. In fact, living alone can offer a blank canvas, allowing you to shape your environment and daily life exactly the way you want it. It's an opportunity to embrace new hobbies, explore interests you may not have had time for in the past, and discover new passions. You can design a routine that supports your health and happiness, one that fits your needs and brings you joy. While it's important to relish the freedom that comes with living alone, it's also crucial to make time for social connections. Human interaction is vital for maintaining emotional well-being, and even though your social circles might change, it's essential to remain proactive in connecting with others. Whether it's joining a club, organizing small gatherings, or simply reaching out to friends or family, staying socially engaged can help prevent feelings of loneliness and keep your mind sharp. You might also find that new connections, formed through shared interests, can enrich your life in unexpected ways. Equally important is taking care of your physical and mental health. Prioritize your well-being by maintaining a balanced routine that includes healthy eating, regular physical activity, and enough sleep. And don't forget about self-care. Whether it's enjoying a relaxing hobby, reading, or spending time in nature, These moments of care for yourself can have a profound impact on your happiness and overall well-being. But it's also okay to acknowledge that you might need help from time to time. Whether it's from family, friends, or professional services, reaching out for assistance when necessary is not a sign of weakness, but rather a step toward taking care of yourself in a way that ensures you're living your best life. The experience of living alone, especially as you age, is not without its challenges, but it also holds countless opportunities for self-discovery, growth, and happiness. By staying connected, taking care of yourself, and embracing the freedom to shape your life as you wish, you can navigate this phase of life with resilience and joy. It's all about finding balance, embracing change, and making the most of the opportunities that come with this new chapter.